In this video, we will review the attitudes of science. You've probably learned about these concepts in other courses, including your intro course, but it's something that's likely to pop up on your BCBA exam, so it warrants review. The work of a scientist is generally guided by 6 different attitudes. The first is determinism. The concept of determinism assumes that the world exists in a lawful and orderly place. Things don't happen for no reason or just because. So, as a scientist, we're going to assume lawfulness, and then after we do that, we're going to look for lawful relations. Empiricism is the second attitude of science. This involves objective observation. Scientists don't rely on their subjective opinions, but instead they define the variable of interest, conduct systematic observations, and utilize reliable measurements to observe whether or not behavior occurred or did not occur. The next attitude of science is the concept of experimentation. When we suspect a functional relationship, we can systematically control and manipulate specific variables and carefully observe what happens. In an experiment, for example, we might systematically manipulate the independent variable while holding the dependent variable and all other variables constant to see what happens. This is the cornerstone of science. Another attitude of science is the concept of replication. This is how scientists can determine how reliable or useful their findings are. It's something that involves repeating the experiment or repeating the independent variable conditions within an experiment several times. The more replications that we have, the more confident that we can be that our results are accurate and reliable. Parsimony is the concept of simplicity. Before committing to an explanation, we want to rule out all of the simple and logical explanations first. We only want to consider what is necessary in order to understand the phenomenon of interest. And if we have 2 different competing explanations, we're going to go with the one that requires the fewest assumptions. So I always remember that parsimony is simple. We do this too when we're developing interventions for the clients with whom we work. So, for example, if I have intervention A and intervention B, and I think that both are going to be effective, but intervention A requires less training and way fewer components and is more cost effective, then I'm going to go with the most simple intervention that I can instead of throwing the whole kitchen sink. The concept of parsimony translates well into our practice and our research. The next attitude of science that we want to keep in the back of our mind is the concept of philosophic doubt. This means I'm always going to question the facts. I'm never going to say that an experiment proves something, right? That uh, instead of saying that this experiment proves conclusively X, Y, and Z, instead I'll say that an experiment lends support. Practitioners and researchers should always be skeptical about the findings, and we should always require ongoing evidence for the use of a specific intervention. When I was on internship, I worked at a large residential center in rural Louisiana. And one of my internship supervisors always used to say, yeah, sure, I'm a behavior analyst and I'm going to use applied behavior analysis with my clients who have autism until science tells me that there's something better. And so he was demonstrating this concept of philosophic doubt, that you're always going to question what we have and always strive to make sure that there's literature to support whatever it is that we're doing. Although there are 6 widely accepted attitudes of science, there are other important attitudes and values that scientists share. So, in our findings and in our experiments, we try to be thorough. There's this concept of curiosity, right? Human beings and scientists, especially, are inquisitive. We want to know why things work the way that they do. There's this value and attitude of perseverance, of keeping with it until things finally work out. diligence, and then above all, ethics and honesty. I hope you enjoyed this video about the attitudes of science. Have a nice day.